Outside of our Airbnb, we've been looking at this tree for about 24 hours now, and it's very interesting. And I don't really know what the composition is yet, so we're gonna kind of figure it out together here and figure out what's gonna look the best. When I walk into a scene like this, immediately a long exposure like this would look good. I don't know if this is the angle or if the angle is more from over this side, kind of down the coast with everything. I almost feel like the shot is from up here, but unfortunately my tripod only goes to about 5 feet. It's my travel tripod that fits in my carry-on suitcase. I think this is an interesting angle as well, but there might almost be too much going on. I'm going to be putting this 10-stop ND on this lens and attempting to shoot it at 2.8. We'll see. I want a longer exposure if possible, something like maybe 20 seconds. And if I can achieve that at 2.8, I think that'll be awesome. An ND is just a neutral density filter. All it does is, without changing the color or really anything else in the frame, just makes it darker so that you can run a longer exposure at a lower f-stop. All right, so right now it looks like I can do a 15-second exposure at f2.8, which is kind of what I'm looking for here. This is the 24-70 2.8 for Z series. This is an S lens, and it is really the best lens that I think Nikon makes right now. And I'm not typically a fan of the 24-70 focal range, but with this camera specifically, I'm super happy with it. As a travel lens, I feel like a 24-70 is kind of the thing that you have to have, but as a portrait shooter, it's very rare that I would actually be on a 24-70 all day. I'm also going to go in here and I'm going to set a 5-second self timer so that when I hit the shutter, that the camera has a moment to stabilize. Again, not the most proper tripod that I could be using. And let's see what that's going to look like. So to frame out this beautiful bench that's right here, rather than photoshopping it out in post, I'm just actually going to shoot this at 24. So I'm filling the entire frame with my subject in this case, and well, it's not necessarily a traditional rule of thirds looking image. I feel like most of the interest is up in kind of the corners, so it does have a nice flow that brings you through the frame rather than just being kind of like a boring center composition. I feel like there's enough interest in the subject itself that it's okay to really kind of simplify the composition, fill the frame with it. And we'll see if that's true or if that's false in a couple of seconds. All right, 20 seconds, f2.8, 100 ISO. I think this is gonna be the frame, and then I'm going to find another composition and just kind of keep iterating from there. I feel like this is a very good image, a very strong image, and I'm happy with it. I feel like it works in color. It also works in black and white. This grass is just impossibly green, so it's really cool to kind of involve that as a front element. We have some of the rocks into the water and proper rule of thirds kind of up top here. The image really kind of like technically works really well. And overall, I'm really, really happy with it. If you change your image preview to black and white to monochrome, you're gonna see the simplified, just basic version with the lighting, so you can work on that. This actually looks really incredible. This doesn't look like a stick in the water. This looks like I'm photographing a tree that's actually like on a horizon distance that's between two mountains. So I think this is the happy accident, that this wasn't an element that I walked into today being like, this is the weird frame, but I think that it kind of is. All right, this here is actually kind of a haunting image. It seems like it's in black and white even though it's still in color, because all the tones are just kind of those neutral blacks, whites, and grays, and a little bit of kind of warmth in the branch. But other than that, it's looking much different than what it does in reality, but artistically, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm happy that I did this. I'm gonna experiment a little bit more until we lose all the light. Unfortunately, we didn't get a sunset today, but if we would have got a sunset, I would have went and got all the photos that I usually get, and instead we kind of forced ourselves to go out and create something that did not exist before, but is pretty cool. Got one thing to Photoshop out, the little pipe, but other than that, I'm super happy with it. I'm gonna come over onto this side and do a few frames in this direction because the light is just all coming from this side, and to shoot it backlit right now and not light it, you're gonna lose a lot of saturation in the actual subject. That's something to be said for all types of photography, is that if you're photographing backlit like a lot of portrait shooters love to do, that you're missing out on a little bit of the saturation in the underexposed areas. And by lighting it, bringing in a softbox or a strobe or whatever it might be, or turning your subjects, in this case, to face the light, you are going to get a lot better color detail. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I'm gonna shoot one more of the original subject that I like so much, but kind of underneath the tree here. There are rules to compositions, to making great compositions, but I find that a lot of them, when you get out in the field, it's just kind of whatever's working, and you have to just be an in the field curator of your own work, and you have to know that it's something you like. I am personally medium okay at that I get back to my computer, and typically I would say the image that in here right now that I was so excited about is not the image that ends up being my favorite. So by shooting more compositions, you just have more options when you get back to your computer of what you might like, what you think is an image that maybe in the future you'd like to do something again similar to it. So I like that a lot. I thought that the tree was the most interesting part, but it's definitely these branches down here. They're almost kind of like antlers. They have a little bit of kind of almost human life to them, or I guess animal life to them because of that. Looks good. I've never taken anything like this before. I'm happy with it. I think it's time to go up and relax, have some dinner, make some pasta, live our lives.